In this video, I'm going to be discussing with you some of the big vocabulary and concepts that we've been using in geometry. So we mostly talk about lines and how lines are created, and then when lines interact, what they form. So in third grade and the years past, students were really identifying shapes and describing their attributes. Well, we will talk a lot about what creates those shapes. So we start with the idea of a point, and a point is a specific location. And then when you put a bunch of points together and connect them, they can create rays, line segments, and lines. So a ray is when a series of points are connected and it ends at one point and continues with an arrow. The name of this would be ray AB. You cannot say ray BA. Some figures can have more than one name, but this is only ray AB. A line segment is when you have a series of points connected and it ends at a point at the end of each, or there's a point at the end of each side. So this is line segment KL, or you could say line segment LK. And last, sometimes you could have a series of points connected where there's an arrow at either end, or at both ends. So this is line RS, or you could say line SR. So here we have these figures, and we also want to notice how these figures can interact with each other. So sometimes these figures will intersect. So intersecting is where they come together at a point, and then we'll talk later about how they can create specific kinds of angles. That's where angles come from, when rays, line segments, or lines intersect with each other. Now, a specific kind of intersection is perpendicular. Perpendicular is when lines, rays, or line segments intersect to make a 90-degree or right angle. So you'll a lot of times see this little visual right there, and that's always telling you that those lines or line segments are perpendicular. Now, sometimes rays, line segments, or lines will never intersect, and that's called parallel. This word parallel should not be new to fourth graders. I know they definitely talked about it in third grade when they talked about the attributes of quadrilaterals. Perpendicular might be a new term for them, but they also did focus on what they called square corners or right angles. So this might be a new term for them, but it's not a new idea. So a fourth grader might get an image like this, and they need to be able to recognize or describe what is happening in the image. So for example here, line AB and line segment KR are parallel. They'll never intersect. But notice I said it's line AB and line segment KR. However, ray DC, it's a ray, is perpendicular with line AB. Also, ray M intersects with line segment KR at point P. So they need to be able to recognize those things. Where do they see parallel? Where do they see perpendicular? And where do they see other kinds of intersections? And then later we will be recognizing certain kinds of angles that are created by intersecting rays, lines, and line segments. So really focus that your fourth grader is using these terms correctly when they're recognizing them, and then also being able to talk about how these figures are interacting with each other, or maybe they're not interacting at all.